Oh, okay, I do have a couple notes here. I do sound funny. I sound really funny to myself. So this video isn't gonna be very long because I cannot tolerate the sound of myself right now. The lighting is bad. I'm using my wall to kind of hold me up. The purpose of this video is not for any type of pity or anything like that. This video is for encouraging of others, but it is not for those who have lost their humanity and or empathy and or compassion. So if you're one of those, you're not going to learn anything here, so you should probably keep it moving. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit about my personal testimony. My disclaimers are in the description box. I am not a doctor. No part of this is medical advice. I am sharing my own struggles with chronic illness, which I don't talk about very often because I do believe words have power. But in this instance, I'm going to go ahead and talk about them because considering that it's the holiday time of year and people are somewhat alone and isolated, and it's a strange time for humanity as a whole, I thought I would go ahead and share what I've been learning through my own testimony and what I feel the Lord, God, Source, Creator, Maker, the Great Fabricator, has been revealing to me throughout my testimony. I have been sick since Christmas. There are those who would want to tell you that there are things called lies of omission, and I don't think there is any such thing. You see, they want us to give away every aspect of ourselves, and we don't have to do that. I don't talk about my chronic illness because I don't want to bring other people down. I don't talk about it because I know that there are those out there who will just use it as ammo and say, well, you just want sympathy, this, that, or the other. Again, this video isn't for the bullies out there. If you've been bullied by other adults or children, and you're an adult, you know a little bit of what I'm talking about, this culture of this bully culture that we've kind of created. When I was a kid, I would have this dream, this recurring dream. There was always something or someone after me, a boogeyman, a monster, if you will. And I was really fast as a kid, but I was never fast enough to outrun these monsters. And in my dreams, they would always catch me. And so in my dreams, I would reason it through how to survive, get the monsters to like me, get the bad guys to find a usefulness in me. Maybe I could get them to like me, feel bad for me, whatever. But you see, in the world we're in now, and it's taken me my whole life, and I'm old. It's taken me my whole life to realize that they're never gonna be converted to having those humane feelings towards others, to having sympathy for others when they're suffering, to want to extend a hand to somebody who's fallen down, to see somebody fall and go, oh, that had to have hurt, I've been there. That's empathy right there, that little I've been there. Most of us should come to the point now where we realize, that's funny. No worries. Thank you for being here. And then those dreams started to turn into people I knew. It was my dad. I had this recurring dream that he was my dad, but he wasn't my dad, and he would unzip and he would end up this, like, one of them hairy trollkins underneath. This was a theme in my life, and this is a theme in the reality around you, in case you haven't noticed that yet. So again, this video isn't for those people. So for a long time, I've not talked about my chronic illness or the things that are bothering me because I know that it would make those out there who are rooting for my downfall feel like they had a win. Ooh, we got her. Ooh, she doesn't feel good. Ooh, she's suffering. But for those people who are out there, who are suffering this time of year through chronic illness, through estrangement from their children or their parents, through being bullied, maybe you're the weakest one on the block, maybe you're the one at work who doesn't fit in. This is for you. There is no other purpose in this video other than to try and have that human connection. So again, if you're not human and you've lost your humanity and you don't have empathy or compassion, you're not going to understand much of this and you'll just be wasting your time and mine. But I appreciate the view, so thanks for that. When I was the one providing for my family, I was working in healthcare and I had to get a certain thing in my arm or I would not have been able to provide for my family any longer. That was in 2010. Since then, I've had issues with my health. I was brought up basically in Children's Hospital though. And I've had ear problems my whole life. And once my grandmother even allowed my aunt's date to dig around in my ear because he was a med student. That got me a hole in my eardrum. But you see, in my family, I learned not to complain because the weakest link really was my mom called my aunt a hypochondriac. So anytime I said I didn't feel good or something was wrong, I knew like she would almost punish me for it. I was sick for months one year, and it took my aunt making my mom take me to the doctor, and they found out I had mono. What is my purpose in all this? The purpose is this all starts very similarly. They start us out the same. A lot of, and I have to be careful what I say because I'm not a doctor, and no part of this is medical advice, but a lot of us have had our health ruined by experimentation, by our own experimentation, by poison, by toxin, by free radicals, by pollution. And then those same people who harm us, who harm our health, make fun of us. One of the last jobs I had, when I get sick, my ear bleeds. It bleeds. I would show you, but it's pretty gross, and that's not what this is about. But the last job I had, I went to work, and there was this new girl. And if you're a targeted individual, you know right away the gaslighting things, because this is not, I'm going to tell you what happened. You're going to say, oh, you're paranoid, or you'll say, oh, that is weird. So I go into work, and there's this new girl, and she comes in, and she has a piece of cotton in her ear, pretty much making fun of me, mocking me. And you're going to say, well, Jen, these things, no. Like, no. There's too many occurrences of this. But anyway, this is how they are. They make fun of you for not being well. So I've not talked about my issues for a long time. I'm telling you now because, one, it's never a good idea to feel like you're alone in this. If you're suffering, if you're struggling, if it's hard to breathe, if going up a flight of stairs is hard for you, if things other people take for granted are a blessing for you, I understand. You're not alone. I'm tired of begging for compassion. I'm tired of waiting for my own family and the people I've taken care of to show a little love back without expecting something in return. So my ear started bleeding again, and I've been sick since Christmas. And I've been covering up how sick I've been for the last several years on the channel because I don't want them to feel like they've won. But maybe I did you a disservice in doing that. Maybe I did you a disservice in thinking you were less than humane. Maybe I prejudged you and made an assumption, thinking that you wouldn't care, and maybe you would have. Maybe I was wrong. Happy New Year's, guys. Although New Year's is spring, when there's new life. So I've covered up my own illnesses as a way to combat the things that have been happening to me, because I know for a fact my health has been attacked. I know I've been attacked while I sleep, and mind you, when you're asleep, you're very vulnerable. And if you're in a deep sleep, somebody could even make you use your own body against yourself. You see, so a lot of the problems I'm having right now are directly related to the fact that I've had these things attacked. I've had my immune system attacked. I've had my body attacked over and over and over. And still I'm in the same place. Why? Well, because if I leave, it's not going to change anything. And what profit is it for me to love those who love me? Isn't it better if I am charitable here with these people who abuse me? Isn't it better if I try to teach them love? Now, again, just like the dreams I started this video out with, I don't expect them to feel bad. I don't expect them to suddenly grow a heart. That has to come from within themselves and their own journey with God or their creator. But maybe I can plant seeds for later if God does wake them up. So in covering all of these things up, I want you to know that if I start to look like I've declined on the channel, I've not declined, I've just gotten tired. And I just spilled water all over myself. Thank goodness it was just water. If I start to look like I've declined quickly, that's not what's going on. I'm just tired of covering up my, the way I feel. So what does this have to do with Christmas and being alone and being targeted and all these different things? Well, number one, you're not alone. And I did write a few notes because I've had to take medicine and I'm foggy and I don't want to forget what I was going to say. I asked God, or at least a while back, I had said, I really do wish I had more of a quiet spirit, more of a gentle spirit. I've always been rough around the edges, kind of a tomboy, more athletic and just, roughhousing type. Want to get in there, fish, and get dirty. I was just that way. And I asked God, please work in me a more gentle and quiet spirit. Careful what you wish for. I'm going to talk about something right now, and I'm going to be really blunt when I say, please don't give me advice about this, because just don't, because I won't listen right now. I don't know what to do about it yet. I haven't decided. So I have tinnitus. I've had tinnitus most of my life, but there are certain points in my life when it really acts up. And I've had people, again, say, oh, you're faking. I know you heard me. How could you hear this and you didn't hear that? It's gotten to the point right now, because I'm sick and I've had to take medicine, that it's really wound me tight. If there are people around you who say that they're suffering and they're also irritable, chances are they're not trying to get attention. They're genuinely suffering, because pain, suffering, and illness can make you irritable. But more than that, they can make you quiet. Much like your mind has to fill in gaps of pictures, they say how your brain will try to fill certain things in. When you have a hard time hearing, but you're not complete, you can hear somewhat, your ears get used to filling in words. It's the same as your mind filling in pictures, right? So sometimes your ears get really good at filling in certain things. But I've had tinnitus most of my life, and every time I get sick, it gets worse. And it also changes when I pray and meditate. And I totally believe in frequencies and all of that. But I also believe that there are those, again, who are attacking certain parts of us, and it's very easy to damage your ears with frequency. So anyway, I've had tinnitus for a long time. And it's gotten to the point, like right now, I don't want to hear myself talk. I don't want to hear anyone else talk. It's very hard to hear, but I do hear because I have to focus in, right? And see, this, again, this is what people don't always understand about illness and hearing loss. Your body gets used to compensating in other places and other ways to make up for the lack in that one space. There are times when I walked around my house blindfolded just to get my ears to work better. There are times I stuff my ears full of cotton just to get my eyes to work better because I know they have to. I'm coming to a point now where I need to admit to myself that hearing loss might be a permanent feature in my life. Because the spaces in between being able to hear and not being able to hear, the gap is closing. So in other words, it's not just when I'm sick now, right? It's not just when I'm ill. But what does this have to do with you, and how can my journey help you? Well, again, this is also my journey, so I'm reaching out to anyone else who's suffered and understands the refinement process. So anyway, I asked God a while back, work in me a kinder, gentler spirit. Careful what you wish for. I have to listen a lot closer now, and I have to focus a lot more to be able to listen. I'm more discriminatory about what I listen to because certain sounds and certain frequencies cause me pain. I talk less because I can't tell how high or low I'm talking. And that also causes isolation. I got real good at faking that I could hear well over the years. Even doctors will say, oh, well, she doesn't have nothing but a little hole in her right ear. Can you test? I don't know if you can test for tonight. I must have like just negligent doctors who really genuinely don't want me to get well. Because I see all these things that like are happening in the medical field, and I'm like, why has nobody suggested any of these things for me? Do they really just think I'm lying about everything in my life? So you get to the point as a child, and this is childhood, I'm telling you. You get to the point where you stop asking for help. You stop telling people you don't feel well. You stop telling them you can't hear them, and you just kind of nod and hope you don't look too stupid. And I'm done trying to appeal to bullies, children bullies and adult bullies. If you can't see the fact of picking on somebody and bullying them because of something superficial like that they can't change. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about behavior or how you treat each other. I'm talking about, eye color, whether you wear glasses, where you were born, what your name is, anything, any illnesses you might have been born with. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. So, God has been working in me a quiet spirit, whether I've wanted him to or not. And again, I can't tell how loud or quiet I'm being, so I hope you will give me some grace in that arena. There was a movie that I watched once with Jennifer Aniston. I don't watch a lot of her stuff. And Anna Kendrick, which I love Anna Kendrick, and she was barely in it. But I think it's called Cake. And it's about the support group for people who have chronic illness. And it ended up being a support group for people who had lost partners who had chronic illness. And it was just talking about how selfish the people were. How couldn't they see beyond their own pain? And that has nothing to do with it. You get to the point where you realize there's no one who's going to care for me. I will end up being a burden. There's no one who loves me enough to look after me, and I don't want to be a burden. And I don't go for like word games and stuff, like all this like word spell type stuff. Just go away. like you're always the same type of people. I'm not dealing with it. See, and that's the problem. We have too many people speaking because they want to sound smart. They want to be smart. They want accolades. They want applause. And that's one thing I want to tell you. There are a lot of people right now who will and want to connect. I see people going to bigger channels, telling them, oh man, you're just really doing a real service for humanity. Thank you for opening up about your depression, your illness, your job struggle, your whatever it is. And they're only doing this because they want to be close to some YouTube celebrity. They're not doing it to reach out to a human being. So I want to encourage you, prove me wrong. Prove me wrong. If you actually want to reach out to real people, less than 5,000 subs, people talking about chronic illness, loneliness during the holidays, isolated, homelessness, suffering. Go meet them. Because people like us smaller channels who aren't in some popularity contest, will talk back to you. You will actually get someone who will comment back to you, who will have a discussion with you. If that's really what you're after, is genuine connection, then leave the popularity contest alone and go make connection with the smaller people in the smaller channels who will answer you back. Because they are your fellow humans, because they need you, because there are a lot of invisible people right now who are isolated, secluded, have no family, orphans, misfits, outcasts. They're just a little bit different. Maybe they have no roots. Through no fault of their own, they just have nobody else. Go find those channels and actually connect with each other. And I want to talk about wisdom for a minute. In the Gnostic sense, wisdom as in Sophia. I want to talk about wisdom as in Sophia in the Gnostic sense for a minute, because we're going to dive deeper into this. I found an interesting post on Reddit, but I don't have the energy to read it all to you. But I am just going to talk about something because I want you to think about it, and I would like your feedback because I'm not sure how I feel about it. Or actually, I kind of know how I feel about it, but I want to, get other people's perspective of it. You know how they say that the victors always win? What if it's not even always the victors? the deceivers, the victors, not always, hold on, too much cold medicine. They say that in regards to wisdom and the Gnostic Sophia, they say that she fell, right? That wisdom fell down and that she did this thing that she wasn't supposed to do. Do you see what's wrong with that right there? And it's been bothering me for a long time, and I finally saw somebody else comment about it, which was cool. But what really bothers me about that is true wisdom wouldn't fall. True wisdom wouldn't have this, what do they call it? This self-aborted spirituality like Sophia allegedly did. So who writes the books? Who writes the history books, right? They say the victor, the winner, the one who won. But what if that's not true? What if it's the deceiver? Because if you look at all these stories and watch my view count go down to 0 again, but if you look at all these stories, it's the woman. Eve ate from the apple. The Gnostic Sophia wisdom fell. Asherah, the consort of God, had to be destroyed. She was the false idol. It's always the woman that has to go. Always. Yet wisdom is referred to as being a feminine trait and attribute. I just find it interesting. I do have Gnostic leanings, but it all falls apart right there because wisdom would not fall accidentally. Now, if we say wisdom came down to dwell with man, that I like better. But to say that wisdom somehow fell and created this demiurge, that doesn't float either. So my posit to you is that there is something, this parasitical spiritual entity cleaved onto humanity, onto mankind, wanting us to be its scapegoat, its whipping post, wanting us to constantly feel guilt and shame. Now, I'm not saying there isn't a place for that, because in today's society, there seems to be no shame where there should be, a little. But I mean as a whole, this creation story that we've been told. I would like to know what you think about that. So please share your thoughts in the comments because we're going to talk about that more. And I do have to try and keep the channel active while I'm trying to get well and deciding what to do about this. Videos won't be comfortable for you or me until I can get my volume proper. So I'm trying to figure out how to do that. Again, maybe it's time I just admit that I don't hear well and I'm never... Anyways, I'm still trying to figure some stuff out. So in the meantime, I have to try and keep the channel active, so I will try and post a few shorts. Hopefully I'll be able to turn a corner tonight or tomorrow and do an actual live stream tomorrow and show you some of the stuff that I've been saving over the last few days. But I love you guys. Stay blessed. Go encourage somebody. Go reach out to somebody. Give love, show love, express love. Remember, love is an action word. It is a verb. It is something that you do. Have a blessed day. Thank you for being here.